Hey everyone, what's up? So I was going on YouTube and I saw the Fight Hype interview between Keith Thurman, talking more about his upcoming fight, but of course they asked him about Crawford or Spence future plans after Tim Tszyu. He did take the opportunity to once again denigrate Bud, but that's nothing new. He threw in some word salads again. He couldn't really be definite if he does want to fight Terrence Crawford or whoever. He told us, as far as the plan from his viewpoint, that him and Spence were supposed to fight, and each other, you know what I'm saying? His job was to beat Manny and then Spence, whatever else, and they were to meet, and then the winner would eventually fight Crawford, but I don't believe that for 1 second. This guy had plenty of opportunities to fight Crawford if you do your research. We never just blindly say statements on this, on my platform at least, But he admitted that he did drop the ball and he didn't do his job to secure that. Wow, I just saw a big owl. But anyhow, regardless, after I watched that interview, I saw a couple videos. And again, I don't know if this is boxing rumor, but it sounds like classic PBC with their little triangulation that they like to do with their fighters. And, the winner of the Tim Tszyu and Keith Thurman fight is going to fight Errol Spence. And, I mean, it's kind of pathetic if you ask me. It truly is. Keith Thurman is once again gifted with a headliner on pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? You've been inactive and you haven't done nothing. Sure, you got a big mouth and it interests people in today's sport of boxing. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like when you're off a long layoff before and you were awarded the Manny Pacquiao fight. Like, what was PBC thinking? People in the inner circle of boxing, they know, one, that Keith Thurman's not a hard worker. He really isn't. You know what I'm saying? He's talking about how Spence didn't have fire and things like that. And this is a guy who's been injury prone and pretty much just like Spence. We question your activity. We question your heart. We question what are your priorities, I just find it funny and laughable when I listen to this man talk and then I hear more of this type of nonsense that Tim Tszyu pretty much turned down the Crawford fight so that he can potentially get a shot at PBC's new sacrificial lambs, which is all they are. Keith Thurman and Errol Spence have now become what Danny Garcia and Sean Porter were to the upper echelon flavor of the month fighters that Al Hangman and his little system, you know what I'm saying? Danny Garcia was a bricklayer. Sean Porter was a bricklayer for the other guys. Ugas was a bricklayer as well. And now we're offering you our best, guys, at least that we tried to build up the best we could. Both guys kind of dropped the ball, if you ask me. I mean, it's not a matter of they did. You should have beat Manny Pacquiao. You couldn't even do what Ugas did. Even Jeff Horn, regardless of what people want to say or not, they rescored the fight twice and came to the same conclusion, was able to beat Manny Pacquiao. And of course, Keith Thurman, I'm eating ice cream and pizza before the fight. I'm over here in the locker room making out with my wife, you know what I'm saying, like a teenager. Of course you dropped the ball. You know what I'm saying? Back then you were talking some pretty good talk, getting people to believe that you're this and that. Manny Pacquiao has T-Rex arms, and today you're up against a flat-footed Mexican fighter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, again, people, they like to hear that type of nonsense. I don't care for the clown show. There's plenty enough of it in boxing, to be honest with you. You got Jake Paul, you got the Broners, you got everybody, Rollies, The clown is the new, breed of fighter that they're really trying to market today. And Keith Thurman definitely falls into that category, in my opinion. You were a guy who was given every opportunity, allowed to sit out for years while you have belts, hold up the division and everything else. And it's not surprising to me that you couldn't beat an old Manny Pacquiao at the end of his career. It just goes to show you the difference in levels when it comes to certain fighters and eras, to be quite honest with you. And now, you're both fighting for a potential Errol Spence fight again. That kind of lowered Tim Tszyu in my opinion, but I don't really blame him for it. Keith Thurman, by this boxing era standards, and Errol Spence potentially add to your resume and build up, your legacy and things like that. That's, I understand it. It's smart money. You go against a guy like Crawford, you're going to get your belt took. It's just as simple as that. You know what I'm saying? You're dealing with a far more dangerous threat. It's the more safer route. You know what I'm saying? It's the easier route, as Errol Spence would say. And you're a young up-and-coming fighter. They didn't want to give you what you were asking for. You were asking for the Jamel Charlos back in the day and whatever else. And they just would not supply you those fights. So I definitely get it. You're dealing with Al Haymon. You're dealing with the same system. And now, he's willing to offer you up two guys who, again, injury-prone fighters who, aren't the most dedicated and haven't been the most dedicated. Errol Spence did manage to get 3 belts funneled to him, you know what I'm saying, through ridiculous means, pulling out of a Manny Pacquiao fight, if he was injured or not, again, I don't know. Just like Keith Thurman, right after beat Brooke, the next day, Keith Thurman came out with his elbow injury, and basically, history has already told us what happened and what led to the moment that we're at now. But it's just more of this triangulation crap. It's the same old deal. You guys are now Sean Porter. You guys are now Danny Garcia. You're now the new bricklayers, the new sacrificial lambs that try to hype up Tim Tszyu. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much all this is. And to me, it makes a lot of perfect sense. It sounds just like classic PBC. It sounds like classic Al Haymon. Again, we have to destroy a rematch and everything that we had in the contract. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, Spence can't honor the contract or his rematch clause that he initiated. You understand, and reenacted, but now he's willing to fight a Keith Thurman or potentially a Tim Tszyu. Keith Thurman, the thing about him is he really doesn't have a platform. You know what I'm saying? Relatively on the internet, sure, you got a group of people that know his name and things like that. But where has this man ever fought? Like, where does he have to go to sell tickets and places like that? He doesn't really have a home. You understand? Kind of like a Sean Porter. Spence, I'm pretty sure, although a lot of people have kind of jumped ship and whatever else built on Errol Spence, he does present a bigger name, I guess. And again, Tim Tszyu will have a whole country backing him, so that would be a pretty big event as far as terms today for what's big. You know what I'm saying? Just to give you an idea, a guy like Oscar De La Hoya on HBO fighting Steve Forbes at 154 pounds, you understand, still garnered like 6 million views. They can't even put those numbers up on network television today. You know what I'm saying? You'd be lucky to get like 2 million viewership today in the sport of boxing. But, it's just like inflation. Less is now more. You know what I'm saying? So when we're trying to use terms like big or whatever else, just know that it's not what it used to be. You know what I'm saying? And listen, I got Tim Tszyu beating both. Errol Spence, Tim Tszyu, that'll be a good action-packed fight. Again, Spence's style, it's nothing really all that great or magical, and we're going to see Keith Thurman here get knocked out pretty soon as well. Again, he's going to try to act like he has Floyd Mayweather's skills and footwork and boxing IQ. It's not going to work out for him. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you got Tim Tszyu backing you up against a rope. You don't have the best defense. I saw Josecito Lopez land on you and almost stop you again. Trying to race bait and everything else. Desperate means that they're trying to do with this fight. More power to you. You know what I'm saying? But this is just already a failure. You're using the same techniques. You're using the same tactics. I'm not buying the pay-per-view. And to tell you the truth, I don't even know if I'll have time to stream it on the night of the fight, to be honest with you. And I know the fight's going to be on YouTube or some other platform, within the next day anyway. So why am I going to waste my money on something that's not pay-per-view worthy and not even the WO decided to sanction? Again, I guess this is just rumor and it's all alleged, but again, sounds just like classic Al Heyman, sounds just like classic PBC type nonsense, circus type of matchmaking, whatever else. Keith Thurman, he wasn't too quick to really stand on what weight class that he does want to fight at. He was kind of given a word salad there at the end of the Fight Hype interview. He tried to denigrate like Terrence Crawford can't handle himself at 154. And you got to understand, Keith started his career at 154. He was knocked down and almost stopped in the first round at 154. I think it was Quandre Robinson that almost did it. I forgot the name. It's been so long, so many years. But this is a guy who actually, just like a Sean Porter and even Spence himself, had to move down in weight. 147, you could handle that weight division, but you actually started at a higher weight class. So to sit here and once again trying to denigrate a man like Terrence Crawford, who's run laps around you even before he got to the welterweight division, it's just laughable at this point. I think I'm kind of done discussing this subject. At the moment, we will come out with more videos. I know Teofimo Lopez is getting under a lot of people's skin with his antics. Me personally, I know he's selling the fight and doing what he has to do. What I thought was disturbing, though, he's been on ayahuasca trips and things like that, dealing with shamans and crap. Like, he's that far, with his, I guess, mental illness and issues that he has mentally as a fighter. I see that as sad. He's still using Crawford's name. It is what it is. I know he's rubbing people a lot in bad ways again, but, he's trying his best to sell this stupid fight. And it's in any shape, form, just like Keith Thurman, Tszyu, a little bit of race baiting and things like that as well. I'm not too mad at T.O. Plus, Teofimo Lopez has done more than guys like Errol Spence and Keith Thurman. Just understand that, you know what I'm saying? He's even surpassed those type of fighters. PBC needs to do better. Al Heyman needs to do better. Keith Thurman, it's already too late. You're the old guy now. You were a two-time champ. Good job. But again, that was with assistance and everything else. You won the WBO lesser or WBA lesser. It was elevated when you did beat Danny Garcia, but you both fought the same guy to get your belts, which was Robert Guerrero. Again, that's just behind-the-scenes manipulation of the sanctioning bodies, things like that. So in my eyes, you know what I'm saying, people in this era think guys like Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Spence are A-level fighters. I mean, in reality, and this is being nice, I can give them only at best C-level fighters. I know Keith Thurman, who I saw was busted up by Robert the Ghost Guerrero and everybody else. And this was a past it Robert Guerrero. This is a punch drunk end of his career, Robert Guerrero, the Ghost Guerrero. You guys would not be able to handle nobody in any other era. It's just as simple as that. And quite frankly, as far as Terrence Crawford, there's no comparison. There just isn't. I don't understand why we still believe in this make-believe world that PBC tried to make. You know what I'm saying? You guys are, together when you can form like Voltron, when you were once again triangulating guys like Crawford to not have opportunities to fight for the belts, and that you got to make your own narrative and you got to act like you, Danny Garcia, and Sean Porter were really the premier fighters of the welterweight division. For those who pay attention to detail and things like that, again, you guys at best, and that's me being nice, I maybe award you at best C-level fighter. You couldn't beat a guy, some guys like Fernando Vargas, things like, they would blow Spence and those guys out of the water. You know what I'm saying? They were far more skilled, had power, you understand. They had their issues, but I know these guys don't even come close to even a guy like that, Fernando Vargas. So again, Miguel Cotto, I heard Spence had an opportunity to fight him, but they kind of kept him away from Cotto or whatever. They decided to go with Al, whatever the story is. Again, I just don't think they can handle those type of caliber opponents. And they've always kind of, again, relied on showcase fights. Their upbringing was on showcase fights. They needed a lot of politics and crap like that to keep them afloat. Being active, sit out of the sport for years. It's the same story for them all. You know what I'm saying? Danny Garcia, once he fought dangerous guys that were in there to win, you could see that he wasn't what they were trying to advertise him as. And it was the same with Sean Porter. Kell Brook's resume was nothing to gawk at when he met Sean Porter, guys. This is a guy, you know, who's been knocked down by UK domestic talent and things like that. And Sean Porter couldn't even knock down Brook. You know what I'm saying? Errol Spence went pretty much tooth and nail with Kell Brook as well, and that's an injured version coming off of injury and things like that. Notice how, again, we hype these guys up, but look what you guys needed to get to the positions where you're at. You needed an injured fighter too to get to your position. And again, I just don't believe these guys, and I don't hold them as high regard or value as a lot of boxing fans do today. Again, grew up in the 80s and 90s, watched real fighters and watched real boxing. This crap today, it's all fake it till you make it, and it shows. It shows in the viewership. It shows in the interest. You understand, guys like Jerry Cooney, whoever else, they could produce way more bigger crowds and had, you know, just bigger draws than these guys today. Just because the inflated number is bigger, it doesn't mean that it's the quality is still there, you know. Excuse me. We will talk to you guys later. Probably come out with some more videos here. It's my first day off in like 2 weeks, but we'll talk to you guys later. All right, bye.